Hello and welcome to the March Facebook chat. I'm your host, Robert Soto, along with our quarterback, Tammy Grunart. Should I say quarterback with what's going on now? Welcome to this month's chat. We're excited to be with you and even more excited to have Mark back with us again on a yearly rotation. Mark's back. We try to have him on the first quarter, if you will, early in the year. To be able to kind of kick things off, even though it's not January. So Mark will be providing some opening comments. Welcome back, Mark. We appreciate you being here. And Mark will open up with some comments, and then we're going to go to the questions. But before we do that, we wanted to spend a few minutes with Jamie. Jamie's from our HR lead team, and there's been a change in process about what's changed and how it impacts you. So Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. So we have recently started utilizing our employee self-service tool for submitting your extended leaves of absences. Those absences would include your medical leaves, so whether it's a continuous or intermittent, as well as a discretionary leave that you work directly through your leader with currently that can now also be submitted through our leave portal. This can be done right on your tablet. So when you log into MAP, when you're on your tablet on Driver Compass, you would click the Submit for FMLA and Discretionary Leave icon. You would choose the type of leave, so whether it's continuous, intermittent, or personal. And then you would answer the remaining questions. Once you've submitted your leave, it will then come to our team. We will go through and determine your eligibility. We'll look at state, local, and federal laws. And then we will send you any required documentation and information as it relates to your leave of absence.
So they don't have to call anymore, per se.
They don't. So we will still have our phone number. We still have email, so we are still accessible. But now you can submit your leave at any time. You don't have to sit on hold. You don't have to leave us a voicemail and wait for a call back. You can submit it through the portal, and then we would send you your information. If we do have any questions, we will also give you a call in regards to your leave.
Perfect. Anything you'd add in closing?
Great tool, simple to use, and very useful for all of our associates.
Good. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you coming, spending the time. We shot a buzz video as well, trying to get this out as we do on different channels and make you aware. So, Jamie, thank you for the information. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Jamie.
Yeah.
Easier process for the drivers, and that's always a good thing.
Yes. So, with that said, we have Mark, as I alluded to earlier. Mark has some opening comments, and then we'll get into the questions from there.
Great. Well, thanks, Robert, and look forward to your questions. But I want to just start with a shout out. I was in the Atlanta OC last week and over at our Intermodal yard. And I want to give a shout out to Ernie Wilds, who is celebrating his 40-year anniversary with the company and 4 million safe miles. And as amazing as those milestones and big as those are, I think his personality was bigger. And several drivers were up from his area in Augusta, Georgia, very long tenured folks. And we just had a terrific time. And it was really a special treat to spend time with Ernie. And speaking of that, Robert, you're hosting and we're hosting.
Absolutely.
I think over 30 Hall of Fame drivers up here this week. I think that Friday.
Yep.
With a fun day and a luncheon and just an overall recognition event. So we're really looking forward. That'll probably be the largest gathering of that type of tenure and experience and really just milestones, I think, in our history. So it's going to be a really special day.
It is going to be a great day. We're excited about it, and we're hoping to build off of what is a big group initially as our first time and just build from there and see if we can get more and more.
I hear the number keeps growing. Yeah. So that's, I'm looking over, we're probably over 30.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a terrific problem. So Robert, I thought I'd maybe just start with questions I most likely get from when I engage with associates or people outside the organization. Absolutely. Kind of what's going on in the market. And obviously we're in a bit of an uneasy position as an economy. We came through that COVID era, and many of our shippers and customers were doing anything they could to get to product and the supply chain issues. And what that happens, and it was a little bit of an oversupply, and we're dealing with many of our customers an inventory overhang that they have to work through. And so you combine that inventory overhang with inflation and interest rates, and this week now some banking concerns. Right. There's just some uneasiness. I think we're in a stable place right now. But I really look forward to when our customers getting through this inventory destocking effort they're going through. And if you look at the most recent reports, many of our retailers are making great progress on that. Others still have a couple of quarters to go. But I think as we get into that second half of the year, I think we'll get back to a more of a normal replenishment cycle on the consumer goods and the industrial part of the economy that we serve across our service offerings. But it's a little pokey right now, and it's been that way as we've dealt with the last couple of quarters. But I think we got better times ahead as long as we don't have any other economic shocks.
Yeah. Well, and some of our drivers that are newer to our organization, right? 2 years, all they knew was volume, volume, volume. Of course, the longer term drivers had seen the cyclic nature of the work. So getting through that obviously adds a little bit of angst to their day. But
absolutely, and our intermodal offering is really focused in around the ports and the imports, and those, as we've been watching, have been down quite a bit. And so again, that replenishment cycle will help to prime that back as well. Well, speaking of intermodal, I don't want to let this moment pass and not recognize our driver associates in intermodal, all of our leadership who helped, and the UP who helped us get through just a major transition from the BN to the UP at the first of the year. And we did that flawlessly. Our customers felt no impact, and just really, really appreciative of all the good work. And now we're off and running with, I think, a more competitive offering that we can help customers secure more volume, and really looking forward to as the year unfolds here. Other exciting news, I guess. I hope we got some MLS driver associates maybe and some DeBoer folks. We had a couple of acquisitions last year, and 2 new members of our family joined with those acquisitions, and they're going exceedingly well. We couldn't be happier, and really expanding our customer base, expanding our service offerings, and do so in such a way that is having good performance back for the company. Was really a win-win-win all the way across the board. Other questions I generally get: what are we doing about capital and trucks and trailers and containers? And this year we're going to set a record if our OEMs can get all those delivered to us, which we think they're going to do a little bit better this year. So we've outlined a $525 to $575 million reinvestment back in our business. We want to lower our age of fleet on the tractor front specifically. We haven't got a chance to do that the last couple of years because of all the supply chain and OEM issues. So we're excited that we're going to get a chance, we believe, to lower our age of fleet. We're going to do a little less on the container front this year, but more trailers, more chassis. And that'll be our focus. And we're already starting to get delivery schedule across all of those fronts, which of course means we're going to sell a lot more equipment this year. That means we're going to have product in rolling stock that we're selling in our OCs and on our property. So we'll have to work through some of those space challenges. But I think that's a good problem to have because we're being successful. We're reinvesting in the business, and we'll get through that. The other piece that we have with that investment, Robert, is we want to make sure we're continuing to invest in our growth drivers of dedicated. We've sold a number of new dedicated, particularly some really large opportunities. That'll be great for our driver associates, be great for the business. And obviously we got to get new equipment to do that. Some of that is very specialty in nature, logging trailers, reefer trailers, all kinds of neat stuff going on in there. So
it's exciting.
It's going to be a big year on the equipment front.
Absolutely, those initiatives.
Maybe get folks here this week. One large investment that we're excited to open. We just opened the Grove, which is our new innovation center here on our Green Bay campus. And it's all about improving our business for our people, for our driver associates, for our customers. How do we take waste out? How do we make things more efficient, more effective through process, technology, and people? And we're excited for what that can do for our business. And I think we got our associate base fired up as I had a chance to hear some of the feedback coming out of the open house. So if we get folks, our driver associates get in town, let's make sure we get them out there and get a chance
all
to
the same
see.
drivers will get a chance.
Yep.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
Yes, it'll be nice to get out there. I haven't seen it yet, so I will be there on Friday to be out there with that team and have some cake and just have they get their tour and interact with some of the tech folks as well. So it's going to be a great event.
That'll be fun. Well, that was what I had to kick off with. Anything else we want to do before we turn it over?
No, I'll piggyback off of what you said. Again, the Hall of Fame folks being here, we're excited about that. We weren't sure, being the first time that we were kind of testing the waters there. besides buying some special gear for them as recognition, well deserved. But just bringing them all in, trying to get them together, recognize them as a group, and having 30, almost 34, 32, 32 of them coming in is a great start. We will continue to build off of that, but just really want to recognize those folks. We're excited about the last few banquets that are going to take place. Green Bay this weekend on Saturday, and through next weekend is the last weekend, I believe. But excited to be able to just thank those folks, all the award winners this year, the new award winners, and just recognize them as well. So excited about that. You mentioned MLS. Rich Wynn and I were able to get out to Romulus last week, Thursday and Friday. First time seeing it. So it was a great visit, good group of folks, smaller office, but dealing with that Canadian border crossing stuff and really working within those kind of daily driver time at home things, which we know our drivers more and more are seeking some of that quality of life balance, work-life balance stuff. So it was exciting to see that, exciting to see how they match up well with us as it relates to our culture and our approach to our associates and our business. So great event, first time. And so just excited to see where that goes with us and MLS, and how we help leverage some of our resources, if you will, to help them along the way.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Good stuff.
Great group.
Yeah. So we will get into
A question.
questions.
So we had one posted before the chat started, and it's from Lou Malott. He wants to first thank Schneider for giving him his third career as a truck driver. He doesn't say what his other careers are. His leaders are telling him that the Schneider drop lots are available for parking when he's taking a break. But he said a lot of the drop lots don't have restroom accommodations like a porta potty.
Maybe he's an MLS driver. It might, maybe, no.
Do we have any influence over that? Is that something we can take a look at from a facilities perspective?
Well, is it Lou, you said?
Yeah.
If Lou can provide maybe a short list of the areas that he's interacting with, arriving to, and we can see. In some cases, it's as simple as, and again, it's easy for me to say sitting in a corporate office and having plenty of resources, but in some cases, the options are porta potties.
Yep.
And we've taken action on many occasions. I know specifically in Intermodal where we've seen a need and then put some resources there.
Yeah, if it's our facility that we own, easy for us to
Easy,
make those
right.
adjustments. It's
Yeah.
the lease facilities that somebody else owns. We have to work through a process there.
Absolutely. So if Lou can provide a short list of those, we can definitely take a look and get that to facilities and work with facilities.
Awesome. Thank you. Kevin Coker, one of our Schneider ambassadors, says, hello, Mark.
Hey, Kevin.
With the growth of Southern Tire Mark and their partnership with Pilot Flying J, along with our partnership with Pilot, what's the possibility of moving or adding them as a tire bank? Pilot doesn't allow third-party vendors anymore when we have issues and we park there.
Yeah, great question, Kevin. And Pilot has been trailing a bit on this service offering, and we've been working with them outside their Goodyear Wingfoot locations. They have in just a few locations, and so we're really excited about this partnership. Loves had really gotten out in front of them a little bit, and I think they're playing catch up. And I'm not sure all the details and all the timing. They've got a lot of build out that they've got to do, but between our relationship with Pilot, the footprint that they're at, there's going to be ways for us to take advantage and leverage there. And I know the team's working on how we best do that.
Good. Kevin Cohoot says, glad to see you in Fairburn. You must have been in Fairburn recently.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
It was.
Mark, it was a pleasure to get to meet you. Thanks for leading this company into the future.
Thanks. It was a great time. It was great to get away from the snow. So thank you.
Christopher Ugley wants to know if Schneider is considering going to the wide tires and not have dual tires anymore.
We've had those before.
Yeah, that's a great question. We've looked at that over time. Our bulk business generally at times it has a better application. They're expensive. They're hard to get over the road if there's a problem. And if you have a problem with one tire, you're done because you don't have the kind of the dual aspects of that. So there's some applications that work. And we found that over time that it was harder to deal with the over the road issues with that type of spec than not. Robert, maybe you've got something more recent.
Well, so Chris is a bulk driver, I believe, out of Maine, I believe. I know we've talked a few times, Chris emailed and things like that. So, but I believe he's a bulk driver. So maybe that's where he's
Yeah.
kind of coming from, the bulk side of things. I know we had super singles on the intermodal trucks for a while, and it comes with, certain, baggage, if you will.
Like most things, there's good things
Yeah.
and there's
Bad.
pluses and minuses, and how is the best way out?
Yeah, absolutely.
The weight can help, but some of the other issues really can knock you down.
Yeah.
Octavio Mercado wants to know if we can share any information about a new customer we're working with in the Owatonna area. I know who the customer is, but I don't want to use the customer name. We've been working with the customer for a couple of months there, and as part of the yard spotter crew that's running that area right now at the Owatonna Distribution Center.
Yes, that's great news. I'm not sure what we can say either, Tammy. So
Okay,
if you're
well,
cautious, I'll be cautious.
All right.
But that's one of the big opportunities I've talked about. We've got another one that's well over 100 trucks and driver associates as well. And so really excited. We do really well with that customer in another location. And it was just a testament to our drivers' performance and our operations team's performance at the other location that got us the opportunity up there in the Great White North. So really excited about that. And so more to come. I don't know exactly where we are on the be able to be totally public with that, but sometimes a customer has some issues. We might be past that though. I'm not sure.
I'm not quite sure, but I did receive a call from a driver as well asking similar things for that area. I took the same approach, I guess is the best way to say it.
We don't want to get in trouble with the customer before we get started. So let's,
right.
But no, that's a big deal for the company, and we're already in the planning stages.
Ed Penton, another one of our ambassadors, wants to know if you can confirm or deny that there's another pay structure change coming to Intermodal. We're hearing rumors that there's another one on the horizon.
If there is, I don't know about it. So I do not believe so. But
my understanding is everybody's done with the exception of potentially SoCal. So Ed, I don't know of one either.
No.
Yeah, so maybe you can expand on that a little bit more, because Mike Phelps said there's some new literature that's out there that's mentioning the switch to the hourly component. Can you explain what that looks like? He should already be, if he's a Schneider driver, should already be switched over to that, right?
Everybody is.
Is there anybody that hasn't switched yet, except for California?
So again, without going too far in the weeds, obviously we want to make sure we understand flows and characteristics with the recent change of Western rail provider and what that means as it relates to length of haul and different things. We don't want to prematurely make a change and then have to make another change. That's never good. So what we're trying to do is better understand the conditions and the characteristics, and then make an educated change versus changing and then having to change again. So other than that, I don't know that there's any other changes. I don't know what is it, Mike?
Yeah, it was Mike.
What Mike works out of, but I would have to assume he's out of Southern Cal, because that's the only market I'm aware of that has not changed.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Question facility related. Do we have plans to expand our footprint from an operating center perspective?
We've been in a significant reinvestment in our current facilities of upgrading and the amenities, the look and feel. We're expanding in Atlanta. One of the reasons I was just down there. We've been waiting 3 years to get permitting. And it looks like maybe we're going to get the go-ahead to improve the backlot, but we're already in the process of expanding the operating center.
Awesome.
And so as we get through all the refresh, which I think we're largely through, I think we have a few more sites to get done here in 2023. We don't have any big plans of additional brick and mortar in the different geographies. If you pin me down, I'd like to do something in Houston. If we can find something that would work there to consolidate, and there's some things that we would like to do. Obviously, we're working on some solutions for Chicago intermodal with some of the changes going on there with our current landlord, but no other big Schneider investments in 2023 outside finishing up our refreshments.
Jenny provided there are a few dedicated accounts, different pockets throughout the country that have not switched the pay package. So there are a few that haven't switched there.
Largely through it,
yeah. The vast majority.
Yes.
Another question that came up, Mark, was around the electric truck. So we've got the big electric truck pilot going on in California. Are we thinking of expanding that to other parts of the country? How is that going? And are we thinking of expanding? Two-part question.
Yeah, we're in the midst of finally getting started. And again, I keep thinking it takes 3 years to get something done sometimes when you need help from outside authorities. But we're working on getting our final charging stations, our permanent charging stations put in Southern California for our intermodal group. We think we've got that figured out. The next couple of months, we should be there. And then we can really start getting our operation at scale going in Southern California. We also have a hydrogen fuel cell truck that we're piloting as well. And then I do think there'll be other applications in other parts of the country, but we're going to spend most of this year really honing in and learning how to do this well with our Southern California team. And so I don't see a lot of change more this year. We do have some Teslas on order, but we've had them on order for several years. We'll see when they get here. But so we'll continue to test. But Southern California, big scale, big operation. That's going to be our real learning in 2023.
It's going to be exciting to see when you have all 92 of those trucks running and what it means. And
So-
I'd imagine we'd have a few names volunteering for those Tesla trucks too. So
So as
The
part of
cyber trucks. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Mark, as part of the delay in getting this kind of up and running faster, some of the contingency planning that we have to do, when you think about Southern California, they get a lot of rain, they get the earthquakes, they get fires, they get power outages, all of those types of things. So I would imagine we would have to continue to plan to have
Yeah.
a charging station on all of those when there's no electricity flowing.
Yeah, as we look at this whole zero emission vehicle journey, the trucks, I think, in the end are going to be the easiest part of this. It's going to be the infrastructure to get the power distributed to the places that we want to charge. And if you think about what we'll be doing in Southern California, that's almost as much power as a 20,000 person city, just what we're at.
Yeah.
And so when you hear about the grids and the distribution of power, those are a lot of things that you got to get figured out so that we can be reliable for our customers. And so that's probably, Tammy, more of the caution.
Okay.
We'll be good around all the other natural disaster type stuff,
Okay.
but it's really going to be how do we get this power distributed at the right reliability, at the right level, at the places that we want to expand. And that'll be kind of job one.
Awesome. Shaquille Turner would like to know when we can invest in the Geary lot because he's tired of dust in his truck.
Well, thanks for the question, Shaquille. I was down in Atlanta. I got the same question. We have various methods we're trying to do to keep dust under control, but that's a constant refreshment plan, and it seems like it's always a challenge to stay ahead of it. Obviously, paving is incredibly expensive and hard to do in certain locations for a whole host of reasons. So I know we're sensitive to that. I know we have budgets to make sure that we're doing that on a regular basis, but I absolutely take the feedback and respect the issue.
Shaq's one of our TEs and good guy, good feedback. So thanks for joining us, Shaq.
Kevin Coker would like to know if we can give him an update on the Mirai technology testing. Will we be ordering more trucks with them or outfitting newer trucks? He thinks it would be a big help for TEs.
Yeah, personally, I'm really excited about this technology. I've got a chance to talk to a driver associate down in Atlanta who had one in his truck, and he was taking me through all the pluses and minuses and the adaptation, getting used to it. But within a week, he wanted the mirrors off, which is ultimately what we want to get to some of the MPG improvements. So we're really excited about that technology. I can't imagine a future that we don't go in a bigger way there. I got somebody a lot smarter with me at the end of the table that probably knows more about it than I do. But the blind spot coverage, the ability to how it can help us at night, and all the other benefits that we get from that, we just have to go through the change management because it's a different approach than having something outside the cabin, because ultimately to get the true benefit, we have to get the mirrors off in addition to investing in the technology. But I think it's here to stay, and I think it's the future for sure.
So Dan Drella is with us in the room. He's at the end of the table, and
That's who I was looking at.
Yep, he said 100. They have 100 running right now, and they're going to start adding in Wilmer and West Memphis until they get to 200, and then they're going to pause and assess the effectiveness and then decide whether to continue.
So
Thank you.
Kevin asked that question.
Yes.
Right? Well, Kevin, it'll be my job to get us out of Perma Test that we like to do in some parts of our organization, and we're going to get to a decision, and we're going to move. And I really can't see a downside at this point. I guess they have to be reliable. We have to make sure that we don't create more issues than we solve with it, but very bullish.
Trey Mack wants to know if we're going to get back to assigned trucks versus the next up situation. She doesn't like getting into a different truck every night.
Yeah, and intermodal. So the short answer is, at the moment, no, no, but never say never. Again, obviously the line of business has made a decision, considering, in terms of truck utilization, costs, all those different things that go into running a business and being profitable.
Truck availability.
Truck availability, because we've seen many times where drivers are sitting and waiting for their truck to come in. So there is advantages to it. We understand the pain points and the frustrations at times, but if we're doing our job right and keeping them clean and maintained and running and ready to go, then all intents and purposes, it should be something that works well for our fleet. With that said, I understand we always have some work to do. So any feedback you have in that space, we certainly welcome that. But the short answer to your question, is it Trey that you said?
Yeah.
Is at the moment that is going to continue in the unforeseen future. And so again, welcome any feedback if you're in an area where it's potentially causing some frustrations. Definitely share that with us. We'll get that feedback to the right folks and look to improve that process.
Hey, Robert, I was in Atlanta last week, and I thought they had a really good process of cleaning the truck every so often on the interior. And the driver feedback, while understanding some of the nuance, I think was quite positive. So I thought, again, maybe that could be a best practice. And I think they had a really good process for that.
Yeah, we've seen that played out Chicago, Atlanta, some of the other markets where they were very, very aggressive in making sure they're cleaning those trucks on a very frequent basis. So feedback's welcomed. Let us know what area, and we'll certainly get that to intermodal leadership.
Yeah. Can you share any dedicated account startups? We're growing dedicated. The drivers know that. So anything you can share with us in that regard, even area of the country?
Yeah. We have plans. We added between our acquisition last year and our organic growth, almost 1,900 trucks year over year in dedicated. We don't think we'll be quite that large this year, but we intend to add several hundred, and we're off to a really good start this year. So I think between the first and second quarter, we have about 8 or 9 different startups. We got 2 of the real big ones, over 100 trucks, and several smaller ones, and they really fit all genres and geographies. So we're not constrained by geography. We're not constrained by capital. And it's our absolute key growth driver within our truckload segment. And so our sales force is out, and our pipeline is full. I shouldn't say full. I don't think it's ever full. Our pipeline is robust, and we expect another successful year. So stay tuned. And sometimes we can't talk because the customer hasn't done all the communication yet with their current provider or inside their company. And I'm always a bit reluctant to try to get out in front, which I've done a couple of times and got in trouble on. So I'm going to try to be smarter.
Hence our reluctance a little earlier. But for your information, Mark, I know you saw it in my summary, there were many questions, 5, 7, 8 questions last month about specifically dedicated work in different regions. And again, the answer to that question is we've got it. We're growing it. It's all over. It's different customers, every region. And really just seeing that growth has been significant.
Yeah, and it's not concentrated in a certain geography. No.
Any updates on when the new navigation tool is going to go live?
I don't know. So we've talked about that in one of the groups that I sit in on. I don't know where that is currently. I can certainly get an update on that. If Vicki can capture that individual, I'll work with tech, see what the latest update is, and provide that to you. Who asked that?
That was one that came up pre-chat.
Okay.
So that was a pre-chat question. You addressed it a little bit in the introduction, Mark, but we've seen 3 banks close now, I think. So there's a lot of instability within the economy right now. How stable is Schneider set up to deal with this uncertainty that we're in as a nation.
Yeah, and sometimes those are headlines that get people concerned, maybe broader than they should be. But I certainly get spooked a little bit
Yeah.
too when I see those things. But as it relates to Schneider, we are very well positioned financially. We are debt free, so we're not beholden to any bondholders or any. We have a net cash position, which we work hard to keep of investment grade, to save for rainy days, to put the company in a position that we don't get affected too much by outside forces. And that's really our whole focus of being smart about how we deploy our capital. Because if you're going to invest $500 million back into your business every year, you got to be darn sure that you're being smart about how you're allocating your money and capturing it. So the company itself is in terrific shape. Our balance sheet is very strong, and so I don't have any those type of concerns. I have
Okay.
more concerns what it means to consumer confidence and
Great
consumer
volume.
buying and people out buying the things that we haul every day.
Right.
That's what I worry about.
Right.
That if people start to feel they have to pull back, and I don't know, really haven't seen signs of that. The consumer actually is still pretty healthy from a ability to spend. They've just pulled back a little bit and have done maybe more experiences than in recent times to get back after the COVID era. But so again, we think we're going to be in a better position in the second half from an overall demand standpoint. I like to get this banking thing behind us so it doesn't spook anybody into doing anything different, but we're monitoring it.
Eric Gunther would like to know if the tech team has made any progress on the connectivity of the tablet to the truck. He continues to see it disconnect while he's driving down the road.
Okay.
We've heard that from time to time. It's the internet. I don't know.
Eric, we can connect you with tech. As I've done in the past, we can set up a call and certainly share your feedback. They're always open to that. We have seen that intermittently in different areas, whether it was, Salt Lake City and where you were parked in the yard or intermittently over the road. But we'll capture your information and get a better understanding of kind of what's going on, and then we can connect you to the right folks to give that feedback.
Wes Arnott, another one of our Schneider Ambassador
Hey,
drivers.
Wes.
Yeah. Has any idea when the pilot of only 1 week with the TE for the CAT students in Indy will end? That's very specific.
I don't know, Wes, but Andrea normally is on this call, so if she is, she normally will chime in. But if not, we will capture that and give that feedback to her as well. As I mentioned earlier, connected with Shaq last week and another 5 or 6 TEs, just to be able to capture some of the trends we're hearing from the TE group, providing that to Andrea and Angie. And so we plan to continue to do that, but your feedback is well timed. So if you want to, we'll capture that, as I said, Wes, and obviously know where you work and know your information. So I'll connect with you, Wes.
A question around DEI. How are you feeling about our position with DEI initiatives and where we're headed with that?
So diversity,
Inclusion, yeah.
Yep. Just like we as individuals are always a work in progress, the company itself is a work in progress. But I'm really pleased with the seriousness from which we're looking at ourselves and looking for opportunities to be a better company, to be a better employer, to be more inclusive. And so whether it's our female driver population growing to 12%, which I'm excited about, with over about 50% of our leaders now are female. We've grown our ethnic leadership ranks over the last year. So all of those things we just have to keep leaning into and making sure that we're the place that people want to be for all the right reasons that are so consistent with our value stream. So we've gotten some good outside recognition about diversity recognition that comes organically from our associate base. It's not a thing the company applies for.
Awesome.
It comes through a very organic means, and started some more business resource groups. And so all those things I think are showing the progress we envisioned. And as always, as I mentioned, we're a work in progress, and our best days are ahead of us.
So our drivers might not know what a business resource group is. That might be new for them.
Yeah, well, and again, we want to make sure we expand that to all our associate base that they can. And so generally, in Mark's terms, sometimes I'm not the most eloquent when I try to explain things, but it's a group that may have some a natural connection points. So we have a women's network.
Yeah.
We have an LBGT group now that
Okay.
has, similar experiences and a chance to connect and see, how the company through that connection can be more effective in meeting the needs of various populations. And so it's always business driven, right? We're a business.
Yep.
And so it's business driven first, but if there's ways that the company can help bring those groups, I think we have a young professional group.
Professionals.
We do.
I'm so old, I don't know what young is just defined as today, but
I think
probably
it's
35.
Yeah, 35.
35 and under. But, and again, those are organically derived. The company is not trying to say what should happen there, what shouldn't, but in the event that folks feel that there's something that we can advance and help them advance, we have a process for people to bring that forward.
Awesome, thank you. Andrea Sequin is on, and she commented that they're working with the CAT redesign. That core group is looking at the time that the TEs spend with those CAT students as part of that redesign, and they're looking at that.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks for the save,
Yeah.
Andrea.
Between Andrea and Dan, we've got some great resources.
Any insight on whether you know of or are predicting, maybe you got a crystal ball, on fuel spikes again this year, and how are we set up to navigate that? I know in the past, drivers were really concerned with us not being able to get the fuel we needed to keep them moving.
Yeah, fuel has been really the last couple of years has been one of those highly volatile elements for geopolitical events to policy to whole kinds of outside influences. The good news is we are aligned and have strategic plans with our providers of fuel, both for our terminal fuel where we have that and also over the road, that we have never, not yet, been in a position where we could not keep the business running because of fuel. And based upon our scale and our relationship, we will be taken care of. It would have to be something very catastrophic for that not to take place. And so we're in constant communication. At times we know that maybe this area might be a little strained and we can make some adjustments to how of our optimizer where we ask people to go. And so we have very tight connections with our providers so that we don't get surprised. We get out in front of that and we can respond accordingly.
Sure. Shaquille Turner would like to know how we can get Schneider on the best fleet to drive for. It's his goal and mission to get
Well,
us
thanks,
on that
Shaq.
list.
I think maybe Robert should help with that question. I think that's a great encouragement. And again, at times we don't do enough to promote the company and those type of things. And maybe that's something that we could lean into a little bit more.
Absolutely. We can look at that. I know that, again, we've had different accolades. Some of them are organic. Some of them are things we can help with. But we'll take that down, Shaquille. I'd love to see that as well.
Me
and
too.
Appreciate you, having that as one of your desires, your goals here. And again, I think that reflects in your work. So thank you for the stuff you do out there as a TE and a driver for us.
Yeah, Shaquille, I think we really lean into the EPA smart way and do some of those things that we're promoting the company externally to make sure we get the proper recognition. I think this is a great add to the list.
Absolutely.
Kevin Coker said, you mentioned MLS earlier. Can current drivers transfer over there with their tenure, or do they have to apply and start as if they would be a new employee in a new company?
So I know drivers are transferring to and from because I've seen and heard it. Actually, when out in Detroit, we had a driver, didn't get to meet her, but she had transferred into MLS and had talked to another young lady that had transferred into MLS. So I don't know specifically how your numbers and your date of hire and those kind of things translate, but certainly can look at that and provide you, unless you know that specificity more.
No, I think that's a very reasonable approach. I know for the first year we were trying to make sure we got them in successfully and we didn't try to complicate things. And I think now that things are going so well, we're stable, we got our processes down.
Yeah.
I think it's time we really start to take a look at that. And I think we had our first internal folk too. We had a safety director go from Schneider over to MLS. Again, we're still all Schneider, but we keep some things separately there for reasons. But that's something I think we're finally in a position now, and it's come. We're only what are we now, 16 months in. It's gone very well. And I think we can start to look at more of those type of integration opportunities. And it's already starting to happen, to your point.
Right. We've seen it happen. We will, we'll jot that down, and I'd like to learn that as well. So it's a great question, but yeah, seeing more and more of that interchange taking place, it's a good thing. We left Romulus and that terminal manager, Jared, with some information as he had drivers that were looking for different work configurations. And where we said, hey, look at the recruiting page, look at the roles available, and certainly offer those up if we're not trying to poach anyone, but if they're looking for something different, they're going to leave, let's keep them in-house.
Yeah, we're one family. We just have a couple of branches. So let's work through that.
Good.
Ramsey Davis would like to know why the performance quality scorecard grading changed. For some reason, seems like I used to always have a 4 or 5 on my scorecard. Now I always have a 2 or a 0. I think something may have been messed up. My loads are always on time or early, and I'm to work on time, and I comply with everything asked of me.
Ramsey, well, thanks for all of that. That's outstanding.
So we the focus primarily is on MPG, and MPG is our fuel is our second highest cost, and obviously something we're always focused on. So in an effort to kind of simplify things, again, as we've made changes around about pay and performance pay, trying to simplify things. So MPG is that one component. Not everybody's on the same package, but if you had MPG as one of your components, then that is your metric at this point. So that's something we're focused on, again, for the reasons of ensuring that we remain competitive and low cost. But we've heard some feedback over the last few months relative to MPG, and I went out to ask our MPG gurus a few questions, and roughly we have about 70% of our folks that are earning kind of the performance pay with the change. January and February are always more difficult months to hit because of the cold weather, and I'm not a physicist, but the increased kind of the aerodynamic effect of the colder weather and that impact on obviously driving a big truck down the road. So I'm told March, and I'm no expert, but obviously leaning on our experts, that March is an easier month to hit, and in most cases we see that percentage towards goal increase in March, because again, it is a little bit more difficult in January and February to hit that. So I reached out just because I anticipated there would be a question like this, and again, roughly 7 out of 10 of our drivers are meeting the goal, ahead of goal. I think it was a 0.5 ahead of the standard on average. So again, I've heard that from a 2 million miler last month, others that have shared information, but that's the reason we focus on that MPG and change those that criteria.
Shaquille has another question, but I need your help. Can TEs get trained on federal side? I think it's a good idea for us to go against other drivers. I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Federal side.
It might be like a truck driving competition or something like that.
Oh, Shaquille is at a truck driving competition. So we'll see if he responds back.
The ATA rodeo or something of that nature. Yeah.
I think we got all the questions. Am I missing any?
Outstanding.
Any final questions out there from anyone? You got the opportunity with Mark here.
Yes.
You won't see him for a year.
Why is that?
Well, on Facebook. Well, we can bring you back. I guess it's our Facebook. We can bring you back.
That's great. Well, I appreciate the invite, Robert, and thanks for all you do in support of our driver associates and the whole team here. Just we continue to give positive feedback on that, and so much appreciated.
Did we talk about DriveWise?
We did not.
Oh, that's one thing we might want to
We
mention.
can plug that and see if a few questions come in after that.
So the DriveWise now works in Pennsylvania for the bypass scale. So that's a huge win for drivers on the East Coast. 37 Pennsylvania scales have been added. So you need the green light for go, but watch for that. You should have gotten a message to your tablets earlier today. So look at that message. You'll get all the details there. And I think that's a huge win. So thanks to our regulatory department and our permits department for getting that through for us.
Great.
Thanks for the info, Dan. So I'm going to just kind of re-hit, if you will, again, Hall of Fame drivers are here this week on Friday. We're excited to see them. The safety banquet and recognizing those million-mile and consecutive safe drivers. Again, just a great event to call out and recognize our drivers. And think about, again, just the elite of the elite, whether that's Super Bowl champions or kind of Horse Recon Marines, because, the Marines are the best service out there. I'm going to get hell for that. But, the best of the best, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So really just want to recognize those folks, call them out. I know there's many that are on the line, some alum. I know Kevin got a new award this year again. And so just amazing to see those kind of milestones. It's humbling to think just the scope of what they do every day. And so just want to call that out and thank you all for that out there.
It's going to be a great day.
It's going to be a fun day. So excited to see them. Mark, thank you again for joining us. We will obviously have you back. Thank you to our support folks.
One more before we leave.
Okay.
The ambassador program. Can you talk a little bit about the ambassador program and put a plug in for applicants?
Yes. So we've seen great activity as it relates to supporting our recruiting folks out in the field. The truck schools, I'll say generically speaking, are excited when we show up with a driver associate, and particularly the caliber of drivers that we obviously have on the team. And so we're expanding it. We've seen the activity go from 13 activities per month to 15 to 26, I think is what's scheduled through March or through April, as we see that increased month over month. So we're going to add some more folks to the team. We've opened that up. There will be a Compass article that will go out with the link.
It's
It's actually out there.
Yep, it's out there already.
I know that because Kevin from Fairburn had asked and said he did see it out there. So if you're interested, we're looking for additional members. Timing wise, I couldn't give you because it's all going to depend on how much interest we have and vetting through that interview process, if you will. So we welcome your interest. We look forward to seeing a lot of folks put in and growing this team into a larger force, if you will.
If for some reason you can't access the link out on Compass or through your tablet, you can send an email to sat@schneider.com. We'll respond to that. We'll get you the form via email and help you in any way we can to help you apply for one of those ambassador positions. The ambassadors we have are phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
They're
We've got some great feedback back as it relates to the
Yeah.
team and what they're doing. So amazing job.
very excited.
So with that, we will say good night. We thank you for being here this month. We look forward to seeing you again next month. And again, congratulations to all those award winners out there. Excited to be able to call them out through the next few weeks as we end our award season. Thank you. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.